Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on a car mechanic simulator. Today we're going to be investigating a barn find and hopefully finding either bits that can be useful for completing this car or, well, anything interesting really that we come across. At some point I managed to level up while rebuilding stuff, so got a new barn find to go and explore. Last time we had one of these there was a RS200 and a Holden. I'm hoping we can continue with the same level of interesting vehicles in them. Well, it seems we have walked into the barn and decided that the best place to look is in this particular corner, where there is not much. You can look in the junk. Are we going to have anything of any interest? I mean, the 205 with the mighty wing, I might take that because I still got my 205 hanging around. Do we have any interesting cars in here? Do we have any... Ooh. I mean... kind of. I don't think we're going to find the McLaren F1 in here somehow that we have come across before. We have got a Dodge Charger. Of course, you can't go wrong with a Dodge Charger. Is there anything? Oh, there's just more junk piles around here. I mean, in terms of finding stuff for the vehicle I have at the moment that we're trying to work on, it doesn't really look like we're going to find that much in here because we could really do with... we need the cooling parts is essentially the problem that we have. It's the fans for the radiators. Now this engine isn't going to have that. The hot rod over here is unfortunately missing a fair bit of the super... I say missing, it hasn't got the bits on top of the supercharger. Again, using the same sort of cooling. This might actually... aha! This does have the right bits. The 200SX does have the right parts. I think I actually have one of these. I think I chucked one of these... I bought one of these from the... what's it called? Junkyard at some point for bits. Possibly for the No, was it? It might have been for the Pantera. It might have been for something else. I think I had one hanging around. However, this does have the cooling parts that we need, or some of the cooling parts that we need on it. I guess we'll just have a look in case anything comes up. Could have been a better barn find. I mean, not that it's not a terrible barn find, but it could have been a more exciting one in terms of... I say exciting one in terms of cars. There is a Charger in here, which is always tempting. However, yeah, not quite the ultra high-end stuff that I might have possibly have liked, but there we go. I am going to buy this because the bits that we need for... oh, it's a lot of money. Ooh, it's not cheap. Bloody hell. Yeah, I guess I want the car. You can go back to the garage. Ouchies, that is not cheap. I think I should look through that pile. Well, let's go steal the bits of it we need for the Pantera and see what we can do with the Nissan. So, we are back to our garage, and while it took a little while to load, I had a thought about why this vehicle might have been so expensive. You might notice at the end of the name, it's 240SX RB. I believe that this version of the car can have the rocket-assisted wildlife body kit on it. Possibly, at least. Because I know this car here has got a fair amount of modification potential, shall we say. Now, of course, we've bought it to steal bits out of it. However, yeah, maybe I'll go and restore it and we'll see how much it's worth. Unlikely to be worth quite as much as some cars that we've had, but there we go. Now, this is what we have come for. Radiator fan housing B. It is all potentially repairable. Thank God for that. Oh, and we can repair the mightiest of wings for the 205, which is always good. Please don't break any of this stuff because I need all of it. I think I have one of the fans I might have found in the junkyard at some point. Possibly, at least. Okay, radiator fan housing B. Fan, yeah, okay, so we need one housing and one fan. It's getting closer. I mean, that was some of the big important parts that we were missing on this vehicle. Certainly in terms of mechanically. I mean, the bodywork's going to be a pain in the arse, but mechanically speaking, that was one of the big parts that that we needed. Let's strip this car down with the bits that that it comes with. Now, this will be a largely complete vehicle. The vehicles from the barn finds do tend to be largely complete cars. So what I'm going to do, we'll take it apart. I'll see what I can do in terms of the modifications on this. Let's get rid of the trunk and the rear bumper. So we'll kind of... okay, so that's... Sure. Left. Okay, so that's a trunk taillight rather than... We'll see what we can do in terms of modification on this car. I'll be interested. After the Pontiac GTO that you can literally pull down to the chassis, I think it's going to be quite difficult to follow that. Any vehicle will be difficult to follow it. Before we do that, though, I have digressed slightly because we need to go and fit the mightiest of wings. Look at that! We have got the mightiest of wings for the 205. I love this 205. It's a brilliant little car to drive, and it only seems fitting that when we happen to stumble upon a mighty wing in a barn find. I mean, to be fair, that's probably the best barn find we've had in some ways. Like, in some strange, peculiar ways, that is probably the best barn find we've had. Just the mightiest of wings. But there we go. Right, let's go take the wheels off of this vehicle. Suspension-wise on this is going to be probably what we've seen on a fair few cars. It's slightly simpler, actually, at the front. It's not a double wishbone one that I was expecting it to be. That's okay. We can pull all of these bits off. We've got a fair few parts hanging around. Oh, careful now. Don't go over there. A fair few parts hanging around for these cars if we decide to modify it, or I say decide to modify it when we decide to repair it all up. It's been a little while since I've played this game, been distracted by by various other things. Wreckfest having a big update sort of caught my attention. I've been playing a fair bit of that of late, so yeah, haven't been on here for a little while. Just look at how far the wheels poke out. Does certainly suggest to me that there is potential. The kits and so on should, fingers crossed, theoretically fit on this car. These bits that are coming off are largely repair. I mean, I would have hoped that it might have been slightly more in the way of repairable parts, because. I mean, not sorry, repairable parts. I like slightly better condition. Again, with the barn find cars, they're normally not too bad. I mean, a lot of these are just about on the... What are we going over there for? We don't want to go over there. I wanted to... get camera out of there. I wanted to take off the suspension bits and pieces. Not... There we go. Right. Chuck all of this lot... I say chuck all of this lot out. That was me misclicking. Game, can we zoom out, please? Thank you. It's been like a week and I've forgotten everything and I'm fighting the game again. The steering rack is slightly through the engine. I'm not sure if we should be concerned about that or whether that's just normal for these cars. Is that normal for 240 SXs? Do they just shove the steering block? Nothing could possibly ever go wrong with that whatsoever. There is no possible way that that could not work at all. It's the joys of... I say the joys of the mods. Trying to fit everything into these cars using the parts that are there from the basic game, essentially. It is, yeah, not the easiest. So you will occasionally see the odd bit of weirdness, shall we say, from the cars. Let's get the caps and so on all out of there. Decent amount in the way of exhaust parts on this vehicle, which means that if we do go for a performance-ified version, sure, it's definitely the right way of pronouncing that. We should be able to get an okay level of power out of it, but these i4s, you are limited by what you can do. I don't think this was a turbocharged one either, was it? Can't quite see from back here. Fairly sure it was just a normal double overhead cam, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, is an okay engine. Not as good as the engine we have in the 205, I suspect. That is a fantastic little engine going on in that car. It's a brilliantly responsive engine, and despite it not having the most power, it is actually pretty damn quick. When you take it around the circuit, only beaten by the... What was the crazy thing? I've completely forgotten. What was the thing that we built last? Oh, the drag car, the Pontiac. Yes, the GTO. That monster. That went like well, it meant 10 seconds quicker almost than a large amount of vehicles that have gone around that circuit. But the 205 is third fastest with like 400 horsepower less than the Shelby Daytona. I did get those ones slightly the wrong way around. The Daytona did go a little bit quicker than the 205, but did have a fair bit more power than the Peugeot. Yeah, it's a great car. Great car to drive. And the Peugeot actually not even finished yet because that needs some restoring in terms of the mechanicking of the car. We cannot get that front exhaust section. We can't take the front exhaust section off. Never mind, not going to worry about that because today what we are going to focus on is the visuals on this car. So let us get the welder. Let's bring the equipment over to here. Let's use the equipment on the 240SX. There we go. Get rid of all of the horrible rust. Perfect. Oh, we've got to take a fender off. There we go. Perfect. Apart from the engine bay. Don't worry about that. That's not important. Okay, we're going to go and repair up the parts that we have on us, and then we will look at what we can buy for the car. So, with as much repaired as we can, this is the, well, optional parts for the Nissan. So, indeed, I was correct. There are various Rocket Wildlife parts for the vehicle, which we'll have a look at. We'll stick them on the car. So we've got optional front bumper. We have got both fenders. I think we have most of the windows, possibly. There are some different headlights as well around. I can't remember which ones that we have, so I'm just going to go and buy all of them, basically. Rear left fender B, rear right fender B, sure, we'll go for all of the right headlights, and we'll try the different trunks. I'm kind of curious to see what they do differently on the vehicle. So, assemble mode, right, front left fender, so we can stick those ones. So yeah, we're going to have silly levels of Aero kit. God. It's, yeah, there's fairly extreme levels of Aero kit going on. I'm not quite sure with the... Might be the angle I'm looking at. It looks like very weird. So is it canards on the side of that? Looks very. Oh, we've got to take off the fender, front right fender. That would explain some. Right. Yes, let's actually get that proper right fender on the side. The doors were all repairable, so we have got those hanging around and various windows about the place. We can have the mirrors on there. So the right fender... okay, that's a clever way of doing it. I was wondering how they were going to have the fenders further back fit onto the car, but that is how it works. It kind of just slides on and is the whole side skirt panel, and the normal one is just like a little fender over the top. It's always interesting to see how people have got round the game's normal way of doing things, essentially. Oh, we don't have tail lights for this, do we? Left tail light, we have the trunk tail light. Now, we didn't have a mighty wing, and that seems disappointing to me. Like, that's kind of got a wing on it, but it's not very much. So, what is the other one? The standard one, I imagine, is one we pulled off. Trunk C? What does Trunk C do differently? It's just a slight variant on the normal one, and I don't know these cars well enough, so I don't actually recognise the bloody difference. Is it this one here? Okay, so there, this one here has a slight spoiler on it. The Rocket Bunny one has a little tail bit to it, and yeah, there's no real mighty wings. That's disappointing. I mean, the Peugeot's got wing enough for about 5 cars. Can we just borrow this? Can we just yank this? Well, I say yank. Carefully, delicately remove the mightiest of wings and then put it over here, and then we'll put it back on the Peugeot when we're done with the 200. But yeah, that would be nice. Why is there rust here? I fixed you up. Why is there rust? Aha! That's why. Because that was a part. So that's what the fender, the basic fender is. I see. And then we can get that massive thing and stick it on the car. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All of this. There's no... Doesn't quite flow nicely at the back, I'll be honest, this kit. It's kind of missing something. Admittedly, not helped by the fact that they're all different colours. It does kind of feel like there is a bit of a gap going on around those rear corners. Excuse me, stuff, please move, go away. Yeah, it doesn't quite look like it fits all proper. Kind of looks like, well, the sort of things that I end up building on Need for Speed, which is mismatching of parts, yeah. But, there we go. So that is the optional bits for this. Ooh, we can put the headlights in. So, we've got Is this... Ah, right, okay, so you can have the headlights up or the headlights down. There we go. Oh, I like that. That's a clever way of doing. That's a very clever way of doing things, actually. So then you can have, if you want to have the, like the drowsy headlights. I would imagine. Is it B? No, B's fully up ones. Is it then? So we go C, perhaps. Is that when they're like half up? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I like the way they've done pop-up headlights. I mean, I love pop-up headlights in general. There's just something about them that are brilliant. And if you disagree, you are wrong, basically. Do we want? I think I might just leave it like that. We'll leave it. We'll leave it with the mismatched headlights. It's more fun with the mismatched headlights. Perfect. And then we need a right tail light for the car. Right tail light. Yes, we have the trunk light in there. I think that's bodywork-wise done on this, isn't it? License plates, we have got both of those. California plates on this car. Not travelled so far. That one compared to the Estonian Peugeot that we have. What was the engine? I'm just checking that this was a different engine, because I think this is i4 double overhead cat. Or maybe it is the same engine that's in this then. i4. Ah, okay. Right, Nissan. Let's go and move that equipment to car lifter B. Let's yank the engine out of... Oh, might be a good idea to yank the gearbox out or get the gearbox disconnected. When we can shove the engine from the Peugeot, we might as well put the engine from the Peugeot into this just for the sake of testing, I guess. Take the... Why can I not remove that? Oh, started over. Oh, bugger. Sometimes some of these engines are a pain in the arse. I don't know why we can't work. Like, I don't know why I have to take that from the car being down on the floor. I'm fairly sure you would be capable of getting the starter motor out of the car from... In fact, I know for a fact it would be much easier getting to the starter motor from underneath the car, pulling it out from down there, than trying to do it from the top of the vehicle. From my little bit of experience working on cars, starter motors are a nightmare to reach half the bloody time, and yeah, much easier to do it when the car's sticking up in the air. Lift down, yank the engine out, and that should be... well, kind of complete, I guess. Pull... Oh, I have to actually get the exhaust section out, of course. We can... Oh, we have to take off the manifold for this one, don't we? Yeah, that's fine. Was the Peugeot's engine turboed, though? Ah, that's a thought. It might have had a turbo? Thinking about it... I think it did, didn't it? Yeah, this was a turbo i4, but it doesn't say anywhere that it's any different to the one that we're pulling out of this. I mean, if this does work, it'll be a sneaky, cheaty engine swap that I would be surprised if this works now, looking at it. I would be surprised, but they're definitely... again, it doesn't tell us what it was standard on here because we have modified it. Let's give it a go. Pull engine out of car. Cool. Right, now move equipment to lift C, isn't it? We're just going to carry around two engines in our pockets because we are super strong. Oh, we're going to have to disconnect everything from this car as well, aren't we? Bugger. Right, gearbox. I've got to get the car underneath, haven't I? Of course I have. And I wonder whether this will be... This might be a sneaky way of making things work, possibly, because I suspect it's to do with the way perhaps the mod parts for these various cars are interacting with stuff, but it looks like it might actually be possible to get the turbo going on that on our new car. Let's yank the drive axles out. I say a little bit of a faff. We're taking an engine out of a car. It's going to be a little bit difficult, funnily enough. We can't just go and yank the engine straight out at the click of a button. We are going to have to take various bits and pieces off first. Gearbox got to stick up in the air. Oh, do we have to get... Where do we get to the starter motor? It's not the easiest thing in the world to see working in this car due to the kind of white out surrounds, if you like, of the bodywork. So that's done. I'll eventually remember, and then when I eventually remember, I'll get distracted by another game, play that for a little while, then forget, and then still be completely and utterly befuddled as to how on earth to get the car up into the air. Don't go via the wheels, because it gets unhappy when you do that. Gearbox can finally come out of the damn vehicle. Now, I guess promising-wise, this has the same gearbox that we pulled out of the other car, out of the 240, so maybe there is potential for this. Like, I'm building this up, and I have no doubt I'm going to go and pull the engine out, and it's not going to work. But it'd be really cool if it did work. It'd be really, really cool if it did work. But, there we go. Oh, crap, we've got to take off all of this guff, don't we? I guess so. And that can come off. Turbo can come off. And, oh, God's sake. Back up. Up to the sky with you we go. No, I clicked the button. Click. There we go. To the sky with my Peugeot. Just don't bash the mighty wing on the roof. Okay, it's fine. It's a bit close. It is a bit close. Well, let's say a bit close. Could be worse. Could be worse. Although we would struggle to get much bigger wing on this car. Let's be honest. I have a... Ooh, I'm apparently not clear of the car. I have a sneaky suspicion this is an i4B and the engine in that is an i4, but they show up as the same kind of thing in the drain the oil from the engine. I haven't actually had to drain oil from an engine for so long. So bloody long since we've done... Because I've worked on cars that I've got from the junkyard that have all been guff, essentially. And... yeah, I haven't actually had to pour oil out of a car for quite some time because nothing's ever had an oil pan. So we will go and then place that back, lower you down, try not to drop the Peugeot on my face, yank the engine out, and then be very disappointed when it doesn't fit in the car we want it to. Okay, super strength with our 2 engines now. Move that to car lifter B. Come on, please don't you put the turbo engine. Please don't you put the turbo engine in. Bugger. Ah. Damn it, I thought I could sneak it. I thought we could get away with sneaking that one. That's a shame. It's i4 double overhead cam, i4 double overhead cam, but yeah, having the turboed version of the engine, while it doesn't change, while it's not showing different in the little display, that's a shame. That is a shame. We can't quite sneakily attempt a turbo swap, if you like, on that vehicle. Well, I guess we're going to go and chuck that engine back into the Peugeot. It was worth a try. It was worth a try. We have at the end of the day got a mighty wing on our Peugeot as well, so this guy's is kind of winning all round. Let's go, let's go steal the radiator out of that. We don't need the radiator for anything else, do we? We have both the radiators on the Pantera. We just need a cover and a fan, or case, not cover, and the fan. Get the air filter out of here. I guess the only good thing about this particular vehicle, with the engine, the i4 that it comes with, I believe we will probably have a little bit more parts we can fit on it, because more of the performance parts are compatible with this engine. They're incredibly difficult to get performance parts for the i4B that we have in there, but it won't be quite as nice as responsive an engine. I think they end up roughly a similar amount of power, but yeah, overall, the engine we have in the 205 would still be the one that I would want, the one I want to put in this car as well. Okay, how much is that? Interesting. How much is it worth? Surprisingly a lot as well. Surprisingly a fairly sizable amount, considering I've yanked off all of the various bits and pieces. I mean, we've spent a fair bit on the modifications to the car. Might not be a terrible kind of value for money vehicle, I guess. By the time we're finished, it's not going to match the Daytona, the Shelby, no, but might be a decent little earner when we are done with that. Well, we tried getting a different engine and it doesn't work. Looks interesting. Looks, well, suitably crazy. And I do like the way they've got the pop headlights for this one. That's a really, really cool way of of doing stuff. And we've got more for the Pantera, so it was something. Progress, kind of was made today. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.